How are you lovely people doing today? My name is John, and welcome to another wonderful Zombies commentary. Today I'm going to present to you a brand new series called A Brief History. The inspiration from this series came after seeing a couple comments from people who were confused about many of the core characters within the Zombies lore. This series will serve as a crash course. In 5 minutes or less, I will run you through everything you need to know about a specific character from World at War to Black Ops 2. This way you can better understand who they are and what they're trying to do in Black Ops 3. Today we'll be beginning with a fan favorite, Edward Richtofen. On your marks, get set, go. I should begin by mentioning that Zombie Universe contains thousands of different universes, each with its own Richtofen and its own unique story to tell. This video will be focusing on the two Richtofens who were able to play as. We'll begin with the Richtofen who existed during World War II. Edward Richtofen's life begins with tragedy. At a young age, his parents died and early on showed signs of being a sadist. He used to crush his sister's toys just to make her cry. In our first introduction to him, we learn that Richtofen is an incurable sociopath who sees no moral distinction between natural death and murder. The victim is the victim, regardless of how the death manifests itself. It was this cruel nature that most likely allowed to rise to prominence within the Nazi Party and ultimately achieved the rank of Major General. His brutal nature gave him the nickname the Butcher and was a leader in torture as well as information extraction research. Eventually, Richtofen found himself working for Group 935 as Dr. Maxis' assistant. Tensions grew between the two and their relationship turned to one of spite. Richtofen had created great strides in the realm of matter transference, but Maxis was dismissive of this technology because it was not in line with Group 935's current goals. They had just struck a deal with the Nazi Party to help them create new weaponry, and they didn't have time to work on teleporters. Richtofen then started to work on the teleporters in secret with Dr. Schuster. They eventually progressed the technology enough to do human testing. Richtofen tested the teleporters himself, and when he did so, he teleported to a cave on the moon. After fumbling around for a bit, he discovered the MPD pyramid. Unknown to Richtofen at the time, this device could be used to control the zombies. When he touched the pyramid, it sent a static shock through him, and from this point on, Richtofen began to hear voices in his head and go noticeably insane. Richtofen is then teleported once again, this time to a primitive tribe in the Himalayas. This place will later be known as Shangri-La. They initially attacked Richtofen, but he was able to outsmart them with his intelligence as well as advanced technology and convince the people that he was a god. Shrines were built in his honor and he enslaved the people to mine element 115, which was abundant there. It's believed that during this time Richtofen created the Shrink Ray. Eventually Richtofen was able to teleport back to Dr. Schuster. With Richtofen home, the voices in his head began to construct an elaborate scheme. Because Richtofen was power hungry by nature, they were able to manipulate him and use him as a pawn. Richtofen had Dr. Groff and Schuster, along with many other Group 935 defectors, build Griffin Station and study the MPD pyramid, while Richtofen went back to work with Dr. Maxis. During this time, he created the Wunderwaffe DG2 and many other weapons such as the Monkey Bomb. This is when Richtofen grew even more resentful of Maxis, as he failed to mass-produce the Wunderwaffe DG2. Voices in his head as well as Illuminati ties began to instruct Richtofen to kill Dr. Maxis. Once Griffin Station was complete, Richtofen famously locked Samantha and Maxis in a teleporter. They both went to the moon. A frightened Samantha accidentally entered the MPD pyramid and Maxis was captured. Before they assassinated Maxis, he instructed Samantha, who's now in control of all the zombies, to kill everyone involved with element 115. This is when things got out of control and zombies began to overrun many facilities. Richtofen knew he needed to remove Samantha from the pyramid, and his ambitions led him to believe that he could become a god if he controlled the pyramid. If he was to do this, he needed a team. He then traveled to Shinonuma to awaken Tank, Takio, and Nikolai, who were previously used as test subjects to create super soldiers. The crew then went on a long journey with Richtofen to get the real generator as well as the focusing stone. With these two objects, Richtofen returned to Griffin Station. At Griffin Station, he repowers the MPD pyramid and successfully switches bodies with Samantha. Richtofen's soul now resides in the pyramid and he can control all the zombies. With these new ethereal powers, Richtofen quickly learns that there are beings with powers far greater than him, so he strives for their power. He needs to mend the rift, which was allowing other forces to hinder his ascension into absolute control. He does this with the help of Marlton, Missy, Russman, and Stuhlinger. He has them power Aspire at each of the locations they travel to. By doing this, Richtofen is able to concentrate his power and then mend the rift. Now that Richtofen has full control of the Earth and Ether, he has won. The world has become his personal plaything. While all this is going on, Maxis was attempting to thwart him at every turn, but Richtofen now won, and he is able to cause Maxis to cease to exist. This is the history of Richtofen from World at War to Buried. Origins presents a new Richtofen in another universe. This Richtofen again works for Group 935, but this time during World War I. This Richtofen views Max as almost like a father figure. As they were studying Element 115 in Bar-le-Duc, France, things got out of control and zombies overran the facility. Maxis fell ill and he felt the need to preserve his brain. Richtofen then lobotomized Maxis and attached his brain to a quadrotor copter. Samantha then instructs Richtofen and a younger version of our original crew to complete the Easter egg. While along the journey, Richtofen discovers a lot of imagery depicting them like gods and beings from the past. These are known as the Ancients. Eventually, they're able to send Maxis through a teleporter that takes him to Argatha. This ends Black Ops 2, but begins a new journey for Richtofen, where he must save the world from a greater evil under the instruction of Dr. Maxis. We know this as Black Ops 3. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that was a brief history of Edward Richtofen. I was getting a little worried there, we were cutting it very close to 5 minutes, but that's everything you need to know about Edward Richtofen from World at War up until Origins. I should note that I specifically led the Black Ops 3 storyline out of this video because I feel we don't have enough information to write a complete narrative, and I just don't want to make a brief history video all based on speculation. I will, though, be touching on this new chapter in Richtofen's story in a future video, so be sure to subscribe for that, and let me know down in the comments below who you would like a brief history of. This is a brand new series, and I plan to be doing these more often. Anyway, I'm going to go, though. Have a wonderful day, and bye.